top of the morning to you guys. But anyways, today we're going to talk about the same factoring technique that we've already done before called general factoring, but this time your A value is not going to equal 1. So we're going to have to do a little bit of extra work when your A value is not 1, but guess what, you guys? The process is the same exact thing as what we did before when I taught you how to use general factoring. We'll have to do like 1, maybe 2 extra steps when A is not 1. Okay, well, I'm excited. So let's get started on example 1. Okay, so example 1, again, the first step when you do general factoring, first of all, typically you have 3 terms when you use general factoring, which guess what? I have 3 terms. And then don't forget your highest exponent must be a 2 because we solve quadratics when we use general factoring. So I have a highest exponent of 2 and I have 3 terms. So guess what, you guys? We're already on the right track. Okay, so after that, I'm going to identify my A, B, and C values. So the A is the number in front of my x squared, which is a 3. The B is the number in front of the x, which is a -2. And my C is the number without the x, which in this case is the -1. Okay, so then after that, I'm going to slide my A to my C, which remember that means to multiply. So 3 times -1 is -3, and then my B value is -2. Okay, so now I have to come up with 2 numbers that will both multiply to be -3 and add to be -2. Okay, so first of all, you guys, the only thing that multiplies to be -3, well, the only thing that multiplies to be 3 is 3 and 1. And since I have a -3, whenever you have a negative number, to get a negative number to multiply, you multiply a positive to a negative. So I already know that one of these values should be positive and one should be negative. So if I'm using 3 and 1, which one should be positive and which one should be negative if I'm trying to add to equal -2? Holy hot dog, you guys. You guys are always on a roll. Okay, so that would be a -3 and a +1 will give me a -2. So a +1 and a -3 is what will work out. 1 times -3 gives me -3. And 1 plus a -3 or 1 minus 3 is -2. Okay, so we figured that out. After that, we slide these bad boys down into this parenthesis. So I'm going to slide a +1 down here, so a +1. And I'm going to slide my -3 down here, so -3. Now, don't forget, you guys, this is slide and divide. Okay, so you divide by whatever you slide by. So we slid over third, well, that's its most simplified form. So guess what? I'm going to bring on down my 1/3, so plus 1/3. And then -3 divided by 3, well, that will be a -1. Okay, now typically in our last problems when we did this, we were done. Okay, but whenever we factor, we typically don't leave fractions in our parentheses. Technically, it's not wrong, but it's not proper math format if we leave it as a fraction. Okay, mathematicians would totally judge you if you showed up in factored form and you left factored form with a fraction. Like, you would totally be judged. So I'm trying to prevent that from happening, you guys. Okay, so we are going to try to rewrite this so we will not have a fraction. So what you do whenever you end up with a fraction in your factored form, okay, what you do, and it will be equivalent, okay, this is the same thing. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to take the denominator, which is this right here, and you are going to slide it in front of the x. Okay, so down here, my final answer is going to be, which Did not plan this out well. Come on, Miss Long. All right. So whenever you end up with a fraction or a number in the denominator, what you're going to do is you're going to take the denominator and slide that bad boy in front of your x. So this one's going to be 3x, and then I'm going to keep my numerator where it is, so plus 1. So 3x plus 1. Because x plus 1/3, eventually we're going to figure out when you solve these, you'll get the same thing. This is the same thing as 3x plus 1. Okay, which right now it might not make sense why those are the same, but later on when I teach you how to solve, once we're in factored form, then it will make more sense. Okay, so if you ever end up with a fraction in front of your x, okay, and then this one isn't a fraction, so I'm just going to bring it on down, so minus 1. Okay, so my final answer is going to be 3x plus 1 and x minus 1. And guess what, you guys? That's it for that one. Again, if you'd like to check yourself, you could redistribute your answer back out, and you should end up with what you started with. But otherwise, that's all, folks.